Hey guys, welcome back to Horsetooth Cinema. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Menu, which is the new film by Mark Mylod and stars Anya Taylor-Joy. This film is about Anya Taylor-Joy's character and her wealthy boyfriend taking a gateway trip to a remote island in which they will enjoy a luxurious dinner along with a bunch of members of the super rich. However, once the dinner starts, characters start to realize that this dinner may entail some more shocking surprises, sinister plans. 2022 has been a year where a lot of directors who weren't really known for much other than kind of not so great comedies have started just coming out making pretty good, solid genre films. Earlier in the year, we had Zach Cregger storm onto the scene with Barbarian, which I really enjoyed. And now we have Mark Mylod coming to the scene with The Menu. And Mark Mylod was probably otherwise best known for Ali G Into House. And although, as I'll get into, I did struggle with this movie, The Menu, more than I did with Barbarian, I still liked it. I think it was a fun time at the movies. The first hour of it in particular is really entertaining, and in that I think it does something that's kind of a rarity for a lot of kind of comedy genre films now. The rarity being that it's funny, but it also functions well in the genre that it's operating in. I'll give you an example. The other night I went to the Lyric, probably my favorite movie theater here in town, and I was going to like a surprise movie night that they do every week, and the movie that we ended up watching was A Fish Called Wanda, which I had seen a long time ago, but I didn't really remember it. And watching it, for one, it was just hysterically funny. Like, it had like the sort of laugh-a-minute pacing of like the Monty Python movies. But it also worked really well as just a solid crime thriller. The jewel thief plot works really well, it's very engaging, and it's taken seriously, which I liked. And I was just thinking that that's kind of missing from a lot of modern comedy genre films, because I think too often those movies sort of get too obsessed with like goofy self-awareness that they can't really function in their own genre. I think a really good example of that would be Bullet Train, which I just caught up with recently, and that movie, yeah, I just found it to be like so obsessed with memeing everything about its own characters in the movie that I never once gave a shit about any of them, and therefore the action plot didn't really have any weight for me. And the best thing I can say about The Menu is that it's exactly the opposite of that. It is very funny, but it's also really quite tense, and like I said, it works as a thriller. On the funny side of it, this is kind of a satire in a lot of ways about the rich and about the fine dining industry more specifically. You could also argue that there's a little bit of like meta humor when it comes to like using the restaurant industry as an allegory for movie making. And while I don't think the satire is groundbreaking or anything, I do think it's solid. And I like that, one, it's not smug about what it's trying to say, and two, I also really like that it's very mean-spirited to its characters in this satire. There's one section of the movie where a very kind of trope satirized character has to sort of walk the walk when it comes to his love for the food industry, and if he doesn't if he's not able to perform this, there's potentially violent consequences for him. And it's very funny and, like I said, very mean-spirited, and that's kind of what enhances the humor for me. I just like how the reactions of all the other characters around him is very dry, and it's played straight. There's no like one-liners kind of, obligatorily commenting on it. And the reason I think it needs to be played straight is that this movie is actually a really tense thriller. I was definitely on the edge of my seat for this, and a lot of the credit for that has to go to Ralph Fiennes, who I love as an actor, and I think this is probably one of the best performances I've seen him in, especially playing a villain. I think he's really great. He not only has such a menacing screen presence in terms of just putting the audience on the edge of their seat, but just his relationship with the kitchen. He has such like control over everybody to a cartoonish extent. It's darkly funny, but it's also, it does build tension really well, I think. But despite the fact that I did really like a lot of the humor and sort of the thriller elements of the movie, I also did find myself struggling with it a little bit, and I kind of don't think it's as deep as it really thinks it is. I really enjoyed it for about an hour, but I found the third act to be really sloppy. For most of the movie, you're wondering, where can this situation possibly end up? And as characters start learning new things and you sort of get to where these revelations are, I just found it to be a little bit unsatisfying. I walked out of the theater both very confused about a lot of character motivations and also what the film was ultimately trying to say with its sort of scatterbrained satire beyond just like, rich people are pretentious. I also think that one thing that could have really helped the film for me is if it was a little bit more shocking. It's not like the series of events that happen to these characters are predictable. I mean, it does work pretty well. Like I said, it's tense and you're always kind of wondering where it's gonna go. But what I mean by shocking is that when these sort of violent outcomes occur, yes, they are violent, but they're not really, it's not really like throwing it in your face per se, which I almost think would have helped the film just because it is trying to be sort of a dark satire, and if you get like a really shockingly violent scene that's again kind of played completely straight, I think that would have probably served the humor more, and maybe I would have admired it just for how audacious it was, just a little bit more. So for that reason, I'm actually gonna give this a 3. I did really enjoy it overall. I could see myself returning to it. It was just a fun time at the movies. But like I said, I don't think it's really as deep or shocking as it really kind of thinks it is. But I would definitely recommend it if you're just looking to kill like an hour and a half, 2 hours with something that's not going to insult your intelligence and something that's going to kind of keep you guessing throughout. Yeah, this is a pretty solid movie. Anyway, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please like it down below and subscribe to the channel if you want. I've got more videos coming soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.